Hello, welcome to McBoss Capital channel. My name is Michael Chu. This is a recap video for the US stock market for the week ending December 19, 2025. So we had quite a turbulent week, and we'll look at the index in a minute here. But just want to give you some data here this week. This is coming straight from Investors Business Daily newspaper. Unemployment hit 4-year high, so it went up to 4.6%. But non-farm payrolls, was up 64,000 in November. But that was after the tumble, of 105,000 in October. And average hour earnings also did go down here. So that was on Tuesday. And let me go to the chart now. So here's the weekly chart for the Nasdaq index. Recently we have this pretty big pullback here of 8.8% on the Nasdaq, 3 weeks down. Then we bounced back, and then after that we did have some tests here. So this week we actually undercut the red line once again, but we did close pretty strong. So that is a healthy thing because we're able to recover. So again, in the middle of the week we did have some tumbling. Let me just go to the daily chart. So here we go. We can see it's kind of continue last week's downtrend here, on Monday here, and then Tuesday and Wednesday we went down a lot more, and then before we kind of tried to revive a little bit on Thursday, but Friday we came back up, and we end up having a positive week with this reversal on Thursday and Friday. So that is the good news. We did test this red line once more again. So far it looks really good because we're able to come back above it. This is Nasdaq. S&P, we're seeing very similar chart right here coming down, and then we went up, and then we came to near new highs here before we pull back. And this one looks a little bit better because it didn't undercut too much on the red line, and then we bounced from there, and then we're able to close again. We up very little, but at least we recover most of the losses from earlier this week. And so we see a similar chart on the daily chart as Nasdaq. So on S&P also bounced on Thursday and Friday, and look at that, recover nicely above that 10-day very decisively, coming back up. It's not just closing at the moving average. So again, this kind of create some nice opportunities, some setups, and in the next video we'll cover more growth stocks list that I follow. So make sure you follow that video as well. But in this video we mainly talk about the main market indexes and some of the general index and stuff, and then we look at the Max 7 kind of stocks at the end. Here's Dow. Dow was generally Dow was and Russell was pretty strong until recently on this little pullback here, and we make new high. But then this week we actually didn't gain at all. We lost a little bit, but it's still holding up nicely because this is the 10-week moving average, the red line. We're nowhere near that. Like we kind of still above it. So we are, like, in this case, it's losing strength from a stronger position than S&P and Nasdaq. Hopefully, they will all be back in sync and lead this market higher. We don't know, but right now it still looks pretty good. Like, right, despite this week we tumble at the beginning of the week, even though Thursday and Friday it didn't bounce as strong as S&P and Nasdaq did, but at least Dow, from a higher level picture, we are still above this nice trend line right here on the short-term moving average, and the red line is still a little bit further down, right? So from that perspective, even though it didn't gain this week, but it still looks pretty good. Like, yes, we would like to see a bounce on Thursday and Friday stronger. Of course we want to see that, but maybe the stocks are digesting a little bit more, in those areas. Here's Russell again, very similar chart to Dow. It make a new high the week prior, but then this week we give back some, down 0.86% for the week. But again, we didn't come close. We came a little bit close, but not that close to the red line before we bounce back. Here's a look at the daily chart. Again, we continue the downtrend from the prior week, but then we found support here near the short-term moving average around this level. Of course, same thing as Dow. We want to see a bigger bounce. We didn't see that, but at least it's holding up. And you can see here we found kind of a support level right there, and they're still kind of above the 21-day trend line right there. So yeah, I mean it's hard to say what's going to happen the last how many 7 sessions of the year. Maybe we will get a Santa rally. We are bouncing right now, so 2 days right now. We came from a 4-day losing streak. Hopefully this doesn't turn into a downtrend. And you can see I draw this trend line here. Hopefully, right? But at this point, after looking at all these charts, you can see S&P and Nasdaq are a little bit stronger, right? From 2 weeks ago, like they were weaker than Dow and Russell, but it has turned the table. S&P and Nasdaq are a little bit stronger now, and Dow and Russell is kind of taking a backseat. Just take a quick look at equal weight Nasdaq 100 here. Very similar chart to Nasdaq, bouncing above the short-term moving average. And RSP here, just holding, a little bit above the short-term moving average as well. Here's the Innovator IBD 50 ETF, which covers the top 50 growth stocks on a weekly basis here. It looks like, again, this chart has been damaged. You can see the severe correction here. And we tried to bounce back, and we took a tumble this week, actually, earlier the week. And then we did bounce back, though. We did close positive, up just 2%. And that's, just from Thursday and Friday's bounce here. Again, that is significant bounce. We're coming back above the short-term moving average again. Hopefully, this is the last test here. Like, we have this low and this low here. And we can start to form the right side of the base. That would be nice, right? That will make, we have, this has been going on a correction mode for quite a while. You can see the length right here. So a lot of growth stocks around, depending, some stocks started around October 8th or 9th. That's when they top for growth stocks. And then some stocks top a little bit later here. And there's obviously some growth stocks that are very strong that, buck the trend of all this correction. But, but more, I'm talking about in general, a lot of stocks have corrected. And now we might be coming back to the right side. That's what we want to see. We hope this momentum will carry forward, at least come back to this red line here and test this red line. This is the downtrend line right now. So, even if it comes back here, we expect some resistance at this level. And if it does, find resistance, then I would be more, a little bit more, careful, because we could need more time. Again, depending how it digests, maybe it just goes sideways instead of coming back down. That would be nice. Or, and then piling through after and forming the right side of the space. So, that's the hope of this happening, but again, we don't know. There's a lot of talk about sell-off may continue in the new year due to tax deferral and stuff. So we already seen some selling recently, probably from non-tax accounts. I mean from tax-free accounts, and then in the new year we might see from actual taxable accounts. So we might still see some more turbulence, right, until sometime in the early new year. So just those are things to be aware of. So on Thursday, the bounce in the market was mainly reaction to this headline. CPI inflation rate fell to 2.7% from 3%. Defying forecast of an increase to 3.1%. The 12-month core CPI inflation rate slide to 2.6%, also far below forecast of 3%. So that really helps the market bounce that day, and then we continue on Friday. All right, let's look at the New York Stock Exchange advanced decline daily line here. This is from the IB newspaper as well. We see the drop right here on the few days before the bounce on Thursday and Friday here. Again, we didn't see as much strength on that front. So we would like to see more stocks participating in this bounce. But as you can see, there is almost even compared to the stocks going up versus going down here. Even on Friday, 1195 versus 1058. So this is again NYSE. And then down here, Nasdaq, we did see a little bit better bounce here, just slightly 2559 versus 1730 on Friday. So again, this is a good measure to see whether the broader market has more strength or not. But right now it seems a little bit weaker on S&P. We'll see if it does continue to recover. We want this to, possibly hit new high here on S&P, and then on Nasdaq here recover as well. Let's look at the 10-year Treasury yield here. We has been kind of bouncing around near the short-term moving averages here. So right now it's at 4.15%. US dollar also did bounce back from earlier the week and came back up here, slightly above the short-term moving average right now. Oil price actually hit new low. I think the WTI hit, I don't remember the lowest, but it was at one point I saw was $55. So it did bounce back a little bit, recover a little bit, but it's still along, below this 10-day moving average trend line going downtrend. Gold is getting closer and closer to breaking out, so a lot of gold stocks have started to bounce back nicely, and even some possibly make new high here. Silver continue to do well as you look at this chart. Copper is all trying to come out here. Yeah, looking pretty good. Uranium is not doing so well. It continued to, it did bounce back though at the end of the week, but it's still below near the 10-day. And we have Bitcoin getting very close to new lows, but it was able to bounce back on Friday. But you can see this trend line going down and the bottom here. So it's starting to form a little pendulum that is more tilted toward the downside. So we'll see what happens here. For the semiconductor index here from WENAC, we're seeing very similar to the index. We're able to bounce back this week above the red line here, just slightly, and close near the short-term moving average. So here's the 10-day and 21 and 50-day converging, and we were able to close just slightly on the daily chart here above it. Here's Nvidia chart here, and we did come very close to hitting another, we did have a new closing low on Wednesday, at this recent closing low, and then we did bounce back on Friday, pretty strong here, almost 4%. We're still kind of below the short-term moving average. I think the best level will be near this red line. If we can cross back above that red line decisively, it could be a nice entry point, a nice lower entry point there. Here's Broadcom. This is a bigger problem I see in the semiconductor space, at least for the large caps. Looking at a while ago, you can see it again, very weak bounce, right? We have a pretty big pullback or even correction. And then we bounce back, it's okay. Like, 3% on Friday, but it's not like a very, strong bounce, but who knows, maybe over time it could recover, but right now it just look a little bit weak to me. AMD, kind of similar to Nvidia chart, is trying to bounce back about this short-term moving average here. So possibly it could get above it. Again, very similar to Nvidia chart. TSM also bounced back to near all the short-term moving averages converging here. So that is the level here. If we can surpass this, that would be nice. And then we can ultimately go back to the new high. So again, this has been consolidating for quite a while. So a lot of this big cap chip manufacturers have been consolidating for a while now. Moving to the big software group here. It doesn't look anything like the Nasdaq, right? It's been one of the weaker area within Nasdaq, and we did bounce back, and then we had 2 weeks of pullback here. Again, we did find support, but we still end up on the week negative. So again, it just shows relative performance is a little bit weaker, and we found strong resistance here at the red line, which is the 50-day moving average. We did fall all the way to the black line here before finding support. The good thing is we are bouncing back, just like the general market is. We are bouncing back on Thursday and Friday, and we didn't make a low that is close to the previous low, and we have this uptrend forming. So we have a pendant formation right now, right? This pendant right here, kind of even from both sides. So with the center around there. So we'll see what happens if it can eventually come above this upper trend line here. Here's Microsoft again bouncing back nicely Thursday, and Friday was able to move a little bit more up. We have quadruple witching day on Friday, so all the volume are really high on a lot of stocks. And but we still kind of under this downtrend line here. Again, the 50-day is starting to slope down. That is a trend that I don't like to see, because here you can see it goes almost a year ago, you can see it was going sideways and then it start to go down, because once it goes down, it becomes a longer term trend. You see that it lasted quite a while here, and right now we're starting to do the same thing, right? And so it started to curve here, and who knows how long it can go for, right? So that is the bigger problem. And then the good thing at this moment is that we are finding support at this black line here, right? Again, we're seeing this formation happening in a lot of stocks right now, especially for stocks that have corrected. It's the pendant formation, basically stuck in this zone, right? And then eventually it can either break down hard or break above hard. So that's something to watch out for. And like I said, it's happening in many stocks right now. Here's Google. Has been pulling back very tightly, I would say. I really like this chart because it went up pretty significant, right? And now it's digesting, but it's going down at a much slower rate. And right now it's just testing a lot of people's patience. It did bounce back Friday to the short-term moving average again, but we're still stuck in this zone, this downtrend zone. Here's Meta. Again, you can see a resistance line here at the back line, and the good thing is we have been coming back up slowly, and on this trend line here. So again, same thing. We have a little pendant formation here, although this one is skewed towards the upside, so that's good. So we can break above here. That will be really nice. Yeah. Amazon, again, a lot of these stocks are near their red line, which is the 50-day moving average, which is good thing from that perspective, because that's where a lot of institutions come in and support the stock. So we are trading near that line here. As long as we stay at that zone and not come down to this 200-day, that looks pretty healthy. It's again we're forming a higher lows here. That is a good sign, and we might just need more time to digest this base here. It's a pretty deep base here for Amazon, and hopefully we can come back up. On the AI side, Palantir is doing really well here, breaking out from a nice cup with handle. You can see this cup with a little handle here. Very strong momentum on Friday, up 4%, very decisively breaking out of this handle. Yeah, I would say that's a nice entry point. And we are not that far from the new high here, so another big move, we could be there. So just a good stock to look at right now, and at least on your watch list, because I would say right now it's still within buying points. This is the traditional buying point. If it does break above this 207 level, that could be another entry point there. Moving to Apple, Apple is also on a downtrend, very similar to Google. Slightly, just kind of coming down, not too fast. Except Thursday we had a little bit of a big range day, but other than that, it's been pretty orderly pullback. And again, you notice again, every stock is just slightly under the trend line here. If it bounces above this upper channel line, I think we could see another potential rally. The Tesla make pretty exciting move this week. We came out from this level right here, this trend line, and we came out on Monday, right? And then we eventually make new high on Tuesday. We have a big reversal day on Wednesday when the market tumble. But as you see, Thursday was holding up. Friday, it would be better if we has kind of make new high. It didn't. But still, this uptrend line is intact right now. You see this uptrend line right there, near the 10-day. So this is a pretty steep slope. So Tesla is definitely showing relative strength. Compared to other areas. Look at this relative strength recently. I mean, this is still near the traditional buy point here. So yeah, good to definitely watch and potential enter. And here's Netflix continue to show this L-shaped pattern, which is not very healthy, because the channel line is very steep, and also it just show it has no power so far, and we could be due for another L-shaped drop again. It's been accelerating, and the red line you can see is starting to curve a little bit more, and we don't want to see that, but we don't know where the bottom is for Netflix, but hopefully it's been a pretty long correction as well, so maybe sooner or later it will start to bounce, but again, we don't know that. We have to follow the trend here and see when this will end. But right now, the shape of this pattern, the L-shaped pattern, is not healthy at all. It's a bearish pattern. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Everything we talk about is not investment advice. I'm here to share my opinions on what I see in the charts, and that's all it is, for information purpose only. And I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for watching. Please give me a like and subscribe, and thank you. And please follow my next video where I will talk about the growth stocks list I follow. Thank you very much.